Four Messiahs, Book 1 of the Jesus Trilogy, Chapter 2. Mary was a bright young girl, very shy yet possessed of great intelligence. She had just turned 19 and had graduated last year from a secondary school, first in her class, valedictorian, which gave her mother, Sarah, great pride. Sarah's husband had been a soldier in the resistance army and died in a street battle when Mary was 7. Mary still remembered her father with great pride and cherished those memories to this day, so she wished he was alive to see her graduate. "You think you are so smart, don't you?" her classmate Joanna said as Mary walked toward the market in Nazareth, the city of 5,000 people. Mary turned the other way, but Joanna didn't let up. She would never forgive Mary for beating her out of the valedictorian honor. Mary had a 3.98 average to Joanna's 3.96. Joanna came closer and said, "I've heard some other talk about you. You're a smart little witch." Mary turned to face her and saw that Miriam, Joanna's close friend, was also there. "I heard from the most reliable source some juicy gossip about our little Mary." She was looking in Miriam's direction. "My sources tell me that you're—" "Enough, enough," Miriam's mother cut her off. "There is a truth to your rumor. It will all come out in due time." "Gloria," Joanna's mother said. "Come, come, girls, we must get to the dress shop before it closes. It's almost 5 on the sundial. We got to make sure your new dress fits and then get home for supper before your father arrives." Gloria wished the two young girls a good evening and hurried off, not wanting to get into any deeper conversation about such subjects, as she too was the victim of gossip, not all of it unfounded. Mary breathed a deep sigh of relief and walked toward the far corner of the square. The sign over the door said, "Esau's Market." Joanna had been a constant pain in the neck since that graduation day. Before that time they had actually been friends, but Josiah, the school stud and star of the football team, had asked Mary, not Joanna, to the senior prom, to which Mary wore her plain white dress. She was a tall girl, 5'8", with soft, fair features, but wore no makeup, nor did she wear jewelry. A real plain Jane, her classmates called her, but on that prom night her natural beauty was shown as never before. This further infuriated her friends. Joanna had money and wore a stunning white dress with threads of real gold running vertically through it. She also wore a large gold necklace, dangling earrings, and 3 gold rings. Her dress was low-cut, exposing the upper half of both breasts, but their less than ample size did not allow for significant cleavage, despite the almost painful pressure from her support bra. This compounded her jealousy, as Mary had a near-perfect figure. Joanna knew this all too well from taking showers after phys ed class, but she had one thing Mary did not have: money. And she knew even at this tender age that society paid attention to money more than to any other attribute. She knew she would go far in society, but she still rankled every time she saw Mary and made it a point to put Mary down every chance she got. Mary was sweet and very patient and very smart. However, she was aware that society was very class-oriented, and as she was in the lower class, she would never have the chance to amount to much. But she was just as determined to do the best she could. Some nights she just wanted to talk to her father, but he wasn't there. She had long, long conversations with her mother, which helped a lot, but Joanna's sting still hurt at times. Mary brushed it off as best she could. She had prayed and prayed that God would bring her father back, but she knew the old devil had taken him from her, and she wanted revenge. She would just have to trust the wisdom of God. He knew best. The priest had said in his sermon so much last week. He said they must trust the will of God. God had allowed certain things to happen, and his people just had to accept them. She knew the pastor meant well, but she also knew the devil was the cause of all evil things, not God. She also knew that God had a plan for everyone who loved him, and that someday all would be well. She had developed great faith for so young a woman, and she attributed much of it to her father. She hardly knew him, but her mother told her of him often. how brave he was, and how he knew a king would rise up and save all of them from the cruel Romans. What Mary didn't know was the part she would play in all of this. "Mary, Mary, what did you bring us?" Jedediah and Joshua raced to meet her as she came up the dusty road and turned into the walk toward the house. "I'm sorry I didn't have time to get you anything, but I did get food for supper." "Oh, look," Joshua exclaimed, "fish and some good bread." "A lot better than the hot dish last night," Jedediah said, scowling. "Oh, Jed, brighten up. We've all got to be happy, don't we?" Jedediah's skull broke as he looked deeper into the sack and saw them, the 3 bars of candy wrapped in paper. "Mary brought us some candy," he yelled, and grabbed for a bar, but Mary pulled the sack away just in time. "After supper." "Me want some candy." Rachel was now toddling down the walk, dirty face and all. "Rachel, Rachel, you're a mess." "Candy, candy," the 3 kids shouted. "Only after supper, and you have to eat everything in your plate," Mary warned. "Daddy, Daddy," Rachel chirped. "Mary get candy." Her father stopped pumping the foot pedal on the saw and looked down at the child, sweat dripping off his forehead. Mary, get candy. Tell her I want it now." She was out of breath from running back to his shop. "Oh, no, honey, you eat supper first." "Oh, Daddy," Rachel said as she screwed up her face in a cute little pout. But she knew it wouldn't work, so back came the smile, and she ran into the kitchen to see Mary. Mary had been like a mother to little Rachel ever since she began to babysit for her almost 3 years ago, and the child even called her Mary, Mommy, sometimes. Someday Mary would explain it all to her, but Mary half dreaded that day. Mary had graduated as a valedictorian, but was not offered any university scholarships. Her mother was poor and had no extra money, certainly not for schooling. So Mary took to the babysitting full time for Joseph's children after school was out. Joanna had been offered scholarships not only to the small university in Nazareth, but to Jerusalem University, better known to the teenagers in Nazareth as JU, home of the Steeds, the nickname of the football team, and any other team the school had, chess team, debate club, fencing team. Joanna, of course, accepted the scholarship, and she brought the letter from JU over to Mary just to gloat. Mary kept a straight face and politely congratulated Joanna, but deep down she was hurt. Mary had studied so hard, and she knew she deserved better, but there was nothing she could do about that now. What hurt worse was that Josiah had received a football scholarship to JU, and Joanna would be sure to make a play for him. The prom evening was Mary's only date in high school, but she cherished every second of it. Her mother told her, "Good things come to those who wait," but Mary thought how awful this world can be. This is excellent." Joseph took a healthy bite of the smoked fish. "You are a great cook, Mary." "Yeah, the fish is great, Mom." Jed let it slip. Joseph and Mary looked at one another. "I meant Mary," Jed corrected. "Can't Mary be our mommy?" Joshua now chimed in, and Joseph's face turned red, but Mary didn't flinch. "Mary is my mommy," Rachel piped up. "Enough, enough," Joseph said, raising his voice. "Eat," he ordered, getting their minds off that subject. He knew of the rumors about him and Mary. He got funny looks in church and had even lost one customer because of it. The accusations were totally unfounded. There was nothing between them. Joseph had even gone on a few dates to dispel the talk, but whenever he looked at another woman, all he saw was his beloved Rachel. He needed time. He and Mary had talked briefly of it once. He told her he would try to find another babysitter, but he knew and she knew he couldn't afford anyone else. She told him it was okay. She could take it and she would stay on. Mary did have a second job and was able to make do even when Joseph had no money to pay her. He was kind and honest, and she knew he would make up for it when he could. She had come to love the children as if they were her own, as family of sorts, but her mind often wandered to Josiah. It had been love at first sight. She would never forget that night at the prom, how handsome and strong he was, sharp features and huge hands like Joseph's. She knew she could make Josiah happy, but she knew deep down she would never have that chance. This train of thought always brought tears. Would she ever have another man to love? She really didn't know.